Why atheism is dangerous for humanity. What is atheism? In very simple terms, atheism is the belief that there is no God or gods. Britannica defines it as a denial of God or of the gods, and if religion is defined in terms of belief in spiritual beings, then atheism is the rejection of all religious beliefs. A good look at religion reveals that it is a set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe, frequently involving devotional and ritual observances as well as a moral code. Atheism, on the other hand, is the rejection of a god or gods. It is not a belief system or set of practices, but rather a lack of belief in the existence of any deity. Non-religious explanations for the origins of the universe, the meaning of life, and other existential questions have been held by some atheists, while on the other hand, others reject all such explanations and simply assert that existence has no greater meaning or purpose. Whereas, the believing world posits very strongly that God created man in his own image. Some atheism quotes. First, atheists who keep asking for evidence of God's existence are like a fish in the ocean wanting evidence of water by Ray Comfort. Second, the worst moment for the atheist is when he is really thankful and has nobody to thank. By G. K. Chesterton. Third, an atheist is a man who believes himself an accident by Francis Thompson. Fourth, atheists express their rage against God, although in their view he does not exist. By C. S. Lewis. Fifth, the first requisite for the happiness of the people is the abolition of religion by Karl Marx. Sixth, religion is the opium of the masses by Karl Marx. Seventh, a disbelief in God does not result in a belief in nothing. Disbelief in God usually results in a belief in anything. By Arthur Lynch. Eighth, religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by the rulers as useful. By Lucius Annius Seneca. Ninth, I wish to avenge myself against the one who rules above. By Karl Marx. 10th, they are fooling us, there is no God by Joseph Stalin. 11th, atheism is a crutch for those who cannot bear the reality of God by Tom Stoppard. Atheism beliefs. Atheism, as defined, is the lack of belief in a god or gods. It is not an organized belief system nor is it a religion, hence, there is no set of specific beliefs that all atheists hold as well as no particular worldview or philosophical perspective, as it varies from person to person. However, some of those additional beliefs are highlighted below. First, the idea that everything in the world can be explained by natural causes and laws is known as a naturalistic worldview. Second, a rejection of supernatural or religious explanations for the universe's origins and functioning. Third, a belief that reality may be understood on the basis of reason, science, and evidence. Fourth, a human-centered, as opposed to divinely dictated, perspective on ethics and morality. Fifth, a commitment to skepticism on every issue at hand. Sixth, a belief in the value of personal liberty and autonomy. Some negative impacts of atheism. First, the loss of purpose. Atheism portends a lack of purpose and meaning in life. Many individuals find comfort and guidance in their religious beliefs, and the rejection of these beliefs could leave people feeling lost and without direction. This loss of purpose could result in feelings of hopelessness and despair and lead to a rise in mental health problems such as depression and anxiety. Second, the rejection of the concept of good and evil. The concepts of good and evil are central to what is acceptable or not in any society, and since this concept is the bedrock of many religious and philosophical perspectives, the atheist rejects it and does not feel bound by it. How does the atheist know he is about to cross the line with his actions or inaction of what is unacceptable in any social space where he finds himself per time? Third, the lack of morality and ethics. Atheism lacks a moral framework, which gives rise to concerns about the ethical behavior of atheists. Atheism, being a non-religion, does not have its own moral or ethical code. No wonder there is no moral compass to guide behavior and decision-making. An internalized sense of being erratic and impulsive with life and living results from a lack of a moral compass. Virtues such as honesty, fairness, empathy, respect, and responsibility can elude an atheist without a feeling of guilt, as there is no code or spiritual expectation binding on him. Consequently, a lack of morals or belief in them equates to being unaccountable and unapologetic. It simply means that no one is safe around such a person. Fourth, the breakdown of society. The dissolution of society is another potential effect of atheism. There is no bringing people together without the unifying force of faith in a higher power. Because of this lack of harmony, there may be more social and political divisions, which may result in society's disintegration and instability. Also, rejecting spirituality of any kind is capable of resulting in a loss of social support and community, both of which are crucial for people's well-being and the general well-being of society. Fifth, alienation and isolation. Being an atheist can cause emotions of detachment and a lack of community in a world or, let's say, in a society that is dominated by religion. Atheism frequently inspires mistrust and suspicion, which inevitably breeds prejudice and stereotypes of non-religious people. When interacting with religious people and groups, the atheist's rejection of religion can easily result in a conflict in a worldview that can cause social unrest and division. The atheist's rejection of religious beliefs can easily lead to a clash in worldview, every time he has to interact with religious individuals and communities, leading to social tension and division. How atheism promotes materialism and demotes religion and spiritual faith. There is some overlap between materialism and atheism because the latter postulates that everything in the world or universe is made up of matter in some way and that all phenomena we observe are the result of its movements, modifications, and interactions. Both worldviews believe that everything has a physical form, but this is a direct denial of the immaterial soul and the supernatural. But how wrong can this get? There is, after all, such a thing as air. There is character, memories, the mind, and emotions, all of which make us human. The atheist dismisses the divine, the supernatural, and forces higher than the man on the basis of materialism, hence the right of the theist to place his faith in God is mocked. How atheism promotes theory of evolution. Evolution is the scientific theory that explains how species change over time through a process of natural selection, genetic mutation, and adaptation to their environment. This theory essentially denies the existence of a soul. Atheists see this theory as consistent with their worldview because it provides a naturalistic explanation for the existence of life on Earth, without the role of the divine creator. The theory of evolution also suggests the principle of survival of the fittest. It describes the process of natural selection as a key mechanism of evolution that occurs when individuals within a population possess certain traits that give them an advantage in surviving and reproducing in their environment. These advantageous traits can be inherited by their offspring, which can then also have a better chance of survival and reproduction. Over time, these advantageous traits become more common in the population, while traits that are not advantageous become less common or may disappear altogether. Today this principle has become quite popular in social and economic circles. There is no telling that it is actually an unhealthy concept, as people who believe in it go any length to survive and or attain heights. They do not mind who or what gets hurt along the way. In that space, the end always justifies the means. Also in that space, nobody helps the other without a selfish interest. Self comes first. Conclusion. Is it not an irony that Karl Marx in Atheism (9) is the same person in (1)? Despite his mockery of religion and the religious, he inadvertently admits that there is one who rules above. Like many others before and after him, perhaps the reason for their denial and unbelief in the existence of God or gods is rooted in their desire to be free to live unguided, in no particular path nor direction, unlike every other who believes in one deity or other and is shown the path to living right. There is a general and universal consensus of what good and evil is, which all find their roots in religious beliefs. To adhere to good deeds and shun evil, especially when no one is looking, is to believe that there are spiritual and eternal consequences for one's actions or inactions. Though religious people also err from time to time, There is however a sense of guilt that overwhelms them as a result. This feeling of guilt can be traced primarily to their religious beliefs before it comes from any other angle. Now can you imagine that we have a world full of atheists, a world with no moral code or compass, a world where people don't feel accountable to a higher force? Now that's the definition of chaos. The world is probably a better place as it is, and humanity still has it together because we don't have the majority in an atheistic worldview. That is why we all essentially ought to dutifully pass on to the next generation our cultural, religious, and traditional values for the preservation of humanity.